Man bans a homeless man from his restaurant, but is shocked to discover who the man really is. The air outside Jasper's gourmet restaurant buzzed with energy, filled with the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses. Inside, the atmosphere was just as vibrant, with patrons enjoying their meals, unaware of the storm that was about to break. Jasper stood at the entrance, his heart swelling with pride. He had worked hard to build this place, a sanctuary for food lovers. But today, that pride would soon be tested. As Jasper adjusted his crisp white apron, he caught sight of a figure approaching. The man seemed out of place. Elian was disheveled, barefoot, and wearing ragged clothes that told stories of hardship. Jasper's stomach knotted as he watched Elian walk toward the restaurant. What could he possibly want? Jasper's mind raced with thoughts of how this man would reflect on his restaurant's image. "Excuse me," Elian said, his voice shaky yet sincere. "I was hoping for a moment of your time." Jasper's gut reaction was to step back, to shield himself from the discomfort of the moment. "I can't have you here," he snapped, surprising even himself. "This is a fine dining establishment. We maintain a certain image. You can't just walk in like that." Elian's face fell, and his eyes flickered with confusion and hurt. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to ask for some food." Jasper felt a wave of indignation wash over him. How dare this man approach him, dirty and unkempt, asking for charity? "I said no," he reiterated, his voice firm. "You need to leave." As Elian turned to walk away, Jasper felt an unexpected mix of relief and guilt. He had made his point, hadn't he? Yet, as the door swung shut behind Elian, a nagging doubt crept into his mind. Was he really standing up for his restaurant's reputation, or was he simply hiding behind it? The question lingered, igniting a flicker of unease within him. For the rest of the day, Jasper tried to focus on his work, but Elian's image haunted him. Was it wrong to protect his business? Was it wrong to deny someone in need? The tension inside him grew, twisting and turning like a coiled spring. He had never considered himself a cruel man, yet in that fleeting moment, he had acted without compassion. "Jasper, everything okay?" his sous chef, Maria, asked, raising an eyebrow as she noticed his distracted demeanor. "Yeah, just a long day," he replied, forcing a smile. But the unease remained, gnawing at him. How could he have been so quick to judge? As the night wore on, Jasper glanced out the window, half expecting to see Elian lingering outside, but the street was empty, the night swallowing the man whole. A sense of loss filled Jasper. He had dismissed Elian without a second thought, and now he felt the weight of that decision pressing down on him. In the days that followed, Jasper's thoughts returned to Elian. He found himself looking out the window more often, searching for the disheveled figure he had turned away. What had that man been through? Was he really just a beggar, or was there more to his story? One evening, as Jasper prepared to close the restaurant, he spotted Elian once again. This time, the man was sitting on the curb, watching the world pass by. Jasper's heart raced. Should he go out and talk to him? Was it too late to change his mind? As he stood there, wrestling with his thoughts, he caught the eye of a customer seated near the window. The woman watched him, her expression a mix of curiosity and concern. Jasper straightened his shoulders, forcing himself to shake off the moment of hesitation. Just a few more minutes, he muttered to himself, trying to ignore the flicker of guilt that continued to gnaw at him. But deep down, he knew this was more than just a fleeting encounter. It was the beginning of a moral dilemma that would challenge everything he believed about success, compassion, and human connection. Days turned into a blur for Jasper, each one blending into the next. He found himself looking out of the restaurant's large windows more often than before. Elian had become a fixture on the street, a constant presence just outside the door. Jasper noticed how Elian interacted with the people passing by. Some would ignore him completely, while others would offer a quick nod or a kind word. Elian would smile, his eyes lighting up for just a moment before they dimmed again, swallowed by the indifference around him. One afternoon, As Jasper wiped down the counter, he caught a glimpse of Elian sitting on the sidewalk, his back against the restaurant's wall. A little girl stopped in front of him, clutching a cupcake. She stared at Elian, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Why are you sitting there?" she asked innocently. "I'm just resting, little one," Elian replied, a gentle smile on his face. "What do you have there?" "It's a cupcake," she said proudly. "Do you want some?" Jasper watched the exchange, his heart twisting. The girl's innocence shone in stark contrast to Elian's worn appearance. Elian shook his head, chuckling softly. "No, thank you. It looks delicious, though. You should enjoy it." As the little girl skipped away, Jasper felt a wave of discomfort wash over him. Elian's kindness was an echo of the warmth he once held. Jasper could not shake the feeling that he had wronged this man, even if he had not realized it at the time. He turned back to his work, but his mind was tangled in thoughts. In the following days, Jasper began to notice more about Elian. He saw him helping an elderly woman carry her groceries, bending down to talk to a dog that had wandered too far from its owner, and even sharing a laugh with a street vendor. Each interaction peeled back a layer of Jasper's pride, exposing a growing seed of empathy deep within him. "I can't believe I banned him," Jasper muttered to himself one evening as he prepared to close the restaurant. The weight of his earlier decision pressed heavily on his chest. He's not just some homeless man. He's human. He has a life. His chef, Marco, overheard him and paused. "You've been watching him a lot, haven't you?" Marco asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," Jasper admitted, feeling exposed. "I didn't realize how much he's been through." Marco leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "You know, Jasper, just because he doesn't have a home doesn't mean he doesn't have a story. Everyone out there has a struggle, and sometimes we're too focused on our own lives to see it." Jasper nodded, lost in thought. He realized he had been living in a bubble, wrapped up in his success and status. The restaurant, once a symbol of his achievements, now felt like a fortress that separated him from the world outside. That night, Jasper lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Elian's image haunted him, a living reminder of the divide between their lives. He thought about the conversations he had overheard, about the stories Elian could tell. What did it mean to be truly successful? Was it just about wealth and recognition, or was there something more? By the next morning, a flicker of resolve ignited within him. Jasper decided he needed to confront his own biases. He stepped outside his restaurant and took a deep breath. The air was cool, filled with the sounds of the city waking up. He spotted Elian sitting on the same spot, the sunlight casting a warm glow on his face. "Hey," Jasper called out, his voice steady but uncertain. Elian looked up, surprise evident in his eyes. "Good morning, sir." I wanted to talk to you," Jasper said, taking a hesitant step forward. "I'm sorry for how I treated you the other day." Elian blinked, taken aback. "You don't have to apologize. I understand. People see me differently." "No, I mean it," Jasper insisted, feeling the weight of his words. "I've been thinking a lot about things, about how we view each other. It's not right." Elian studied him for a moment, the shadows of doubt flickering in his gaze. Kindness is hard to come by, but it's never too late to start. Jasper felt the walls around his heart begin to crack. Would you be willing to share your story with me? I want to understand." A small smile broke through Elian's worn expression. "I'd be happy to, but it's not just my story. It's also about the many who go unnoticed." As they began to talk, Jasper felt an unfamiliar warmth spreading in his chest. In this moment, the shadows of the streets began to fade, replaced by the light of understanding and connection. The fire had consumed everything. Jasper stood outside the charred remains of his restaurant, staring at the smoldering debris. His heart felt heavy, and he could not shake the feeling of despair. This place had been his dream, a symbol of success and status. Now, it was just ashes. As he looked around, His mind raced with thoughts of how he would rebuild. "How can I start over?" he whispered to himself. Just then, he noticed a figure approaching through the haze of smoke. It was Elian, the man he had banished from his restaurant not long ago. Jasper's heart sank. What does he want? He thought, anger and embarrassment mingling within him. "Jasper," Elian called, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "I saw the fire. I came to help." Jasper's first instinct was to refuse. He felt a rush of pride. "I don't need your help," he snapped, clenching his fists. But deep down, he knew that he was running out of options. The insurance money would take time, and he had no experience in rebuilding a restaurant, let alone from the ground up. Elian took a step closer, his eyes filled with sincerity. "Please, let me assist you. I know how to cook, and I can help you plan the new place. You've got the vision. I can bring the skills." Jasper hesitated. Memories of how he had treated Elian rushed back. His harsh words, the way he had dismissed him like he meant nothing. "Why would you want to help me after how I treated you?" Jasper asked, his voice softer now. Elian shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. "Because everyone deserves a second chance, and I believe in your dream. I know what it's like to lose everything. I can help you rebuild." Jasper's pride battled with the reality of his situation. He felt vulnerable, exposed. How could he ask for help from someone he had pushed away? Yet, the desperation of losing everything weighed heavily on him. Finally, he sighed. "All right, let's do it. But I won't make it easy for you." Elian's face lit up with optimism. "That's all I ask. Let's start from the basics." Together, they began to sift through the wreckage. Jasper watched as Elian moved with purpose, picking up items that could be salvaged. Each piece of debris they cleared felt like a step toward healing. The two men worked in silence, the air thick with the scent of charred wood and ash. As they cleaned, Elian shared stories about his past. "I used to be a chef in a fine dining restaurant," he began, his voice steady. "But I lost my job during a tough time. I fell into hard circumstances, and I never thought I would end up here." Jasper listened closely, realizing that Elian's story mirrored many struggles he had witnessed in the city. "What happened next?" he asked, genuinely curious. "I found myself living on the streets," Elian continued, his gaze distant. "But I never stopped cooking. I would volunteer at shelters, and I learned to make meals with whatever was available. That's how I kept my passion alive." Jasper felt a knot in his throat. He had judged Elian based on his appearance, but now he saw a man with deep talent and resilience. "I didn't know," he admitted quietly. Elian smiled gently. "Most people don't. They only see the outside. But there's always more beneath the surface." As they worked side by side, a sense of camaraderie began to form. Jasper felt the walls he had built around himself starting to crumble. He was no longer just a successful restaurant owner. He was a man in need of help, and Elian was offering it freely. "Let's make this place better than it was before," Jasper said, determination igniting within him. Elian nodded, enthusiasm shining in his eyes. "Together, we can create something amazing. This fire might have taken your restaurant, but it can't take your spirit." Jasper felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this unexpected partnership could lead to something beautiful. With each piece of debris cleared, they were not only rebuilding a restaurant, but also forging a connection that neither had anticipated. As the sun rose over the charred remains of Jasper's restaurant, a sense of quiet determination filled the air. Jasper stood among the ashes, feeling lost and overwhelmed. Elian, who had recently offered his help, joined him, his feet still dirty from the streets, but his spirit unbroken. "Let's start cleaning up," Elian said, his voice steady. "There's a lot of work to do." Jasper nodded, still unsure about everything. He had never imagined himself in this position, needing help from someone he once dismissed. As they began to clear away debris, Jasper glanced at Elian, who worked with a focus that intrigued him. "Why do you want to help me?" Jasper asked, trying to understand Elian's motives. You don't owe me anything. Elian paused for a moment, wiping sweat from his brow. I know what it's like to lose everything. I used to be a chef too. My restaurant was my life. I lost it all because of bad choices. But I still love cooking, and I want to help you rebuild. Jasper felt a pang of guilt wash over him. He had judged Elian too quickly, not knowing the man's story. I didn't know. I'm sorry for how I treated you before. Elian smiled gently, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. It's okay. We all have our struggles. What matters is how we rise from them. As they worked side by side, Jasper learned more about Elian's past. He listened intently as Elian spoke of his dreams, his passion for cooking, and the misfortunes that led him to the streets. Each story was a piece of a puzzle that Jasper had never considered. I once had a great restaurant in the city, Elian said, his eyes shining with a mix of pride and sadness. People loved my food, but I let personal problems take over. I lost everything, including my family. Jasper felt a knot in his stomach. That sounds terrible. I can't imagine losing everything I've worked for. Elian nodded, looking out at the remains of the restaurant. I know what it's like to feel invisible. But even when I was at my lowest, I found moments of joy in cooking for others. It kept my spirit alive. Jasper's heart softened as he listened. He began to see Elian not as a failure, but as a man with a rich history and untapped potential. The walls he had built around himself started to crumble, revealing a deeper understanding of worth and dignity. Maybe we can create something special together, Jasper suggested, his voice filled with hope. A new restaurant that tells both our stories. Elian's eyes lit up. I would love that. We could combine our experiences and create a menu that reflects who we are. Exactly, Jasper said, feeling a rush of excitement. It could be a place where people feel accepted, where they can share their own stories. As the days passed, their bond grew stronger. They shared laughter, frustrations, and dreams. Jasper found himself looking forward to their conversations, and Elian's resilience inspired him to dig deeper into his own values. One afternoon, while they were preparing a makeshift meal in the back of the restaurant, Jasper turned to Elian. What's your favorite dish to make? He asked, eager to know more about his partner's passion. Ratatouille, Elian replied, a smile spreading across his face. It's a dish that reminds me of my childhood. It's simple, but full of flavor, just like life. Jasper contemplated Elian's words. Maybe we could feature that on our menu. It could symbolize new beginnings. I love that idea, Elian said enthusiastically. Food has a way of telling stories, connecting people. Together, they began to sketch out ideas for their new restaurant. As they worked, Jasper felt a shift within himself. He started to see Elian not just as a helper, but as a partner. Their shared experiences began to weave a new narrative, one of hope, resilience, and understanding. The transformation of the restaurant was no longer just about rebuilding bricks and mortar. It was about rebuilding lives. As they stood amidst the remnants of the past, both men looked forward to a future filled with possibilities, ready to embrace the stories yet to unfold. As the last coat of paint dried on the walls of the newly rebuilt restaurant, Jasper felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The place had transformed from a charred memory into a bright symbol of hope and renewal. This was not just a restaurant, it represented a second chance for both him and Elian. One morning, while they were setting up the kitchen, Jasper turned to Elian, who was busy arranging fresh herbs. Elian, I've been thinking, he started, his voice steady but laced with anticipation. Once we open, how would you feel about being the head chef? Elian paused, his hands frozen mid-air. He looked up, a flicker of disbelief crossing his face. You want me to be the head chef? His voice was soft, almost a whisper. Why would you trust me with that? Because you deserve it, Jasper replied earnestly. You've shown me what it means to create something beautiful. Your story, your skills, They matter. I want this restaurant to reflect who we are now, and I can't do that without you. Elian's eyes glistened with gratitude. I'll do my best, he said, a smile breaking through. Thank you for believing in me. With their roles defined, the two men dove into planning the menu. They sat together at a small table in the kitchen, surrounded by fresh ingredients. Let's make something special, Elian suggested, his passion igniting the air. How about a dish that tells a story? That's a great idea, Jasper replied, nodding enthusiastically. What do you have in mind? Elian leaned forward, his eyes lighting up. We could create a dish inspired by my grandmother's recipe. It's a simple stew, but it brings people together. It's comfort food, something that reminds us that we are never alone. Jasper smiled, envisioning the dish. I love it. We can call it Grandmother's Embrace. It will remind everyone of the warmth of home. Days flew by as they prepared for the grand reopening. The restaurant was buzzing with energy as they worked together, chopping vegetables, mixing spices, and testing recipes. Jasper found joy in Elian's creativity, and Elian learned how to blend his ideas with Jasper's vision. As the opening day approached, Jasper felt nervous. What if people did not understand the message behind the restaurant? Elian noticed Jasper's unease one afternoon. You're worried about something, he said gently. What is it? I just hope people see what we want to create here, Jasper admitted, running a hand through his hair. I want them to understand that this place is about acceptance, about second chances. Elian placed a reassuring hand on Jasper's shoulder. They will, Jasper. We are sharing our stories through the food. That is what connects people. Finally, the day arrived. The restaurant was filled with the aroma of fresh dishes, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Friends, family, and even some familiar faces from the neighborhood gathered outside, waiting to step inside. As the doors opened, Jasper stood at the entrance, greeting everyone with a warm smile. Welcome to our new beginning, he announced, his heart swelling with pride. Elian joined him, standing tall beside his partner. We have a menu filled with love and stories. We hope you enjoy every bite. The guests walked in, their eyes wide with wonder. They marveled at the decor, the vibrant colors, and the cozy atmosphere. As plates filled with Grandmother's Embrace and other unique dishes were served, laughter and conversation filled the air. Throughout the evening, Jasper watched Elian interact with the customers, sharing the inspiration behind each dish. They listened intently, their faces lighting up with understanding. Jasper felt a warmth in his chest as he realized the impact they were making together. After the last guest had left, Jasper and Elian stood in the quiet of the restaurant, the glow of the evening still lingering. We did it, Jasper said, his voice filled with awe. Elian smiled broadly. Yes, we did. This is just the beginning. As they cleaned up, Jasper reflected on how far they had come. This journey had reshaped his identity, teaching him about empathy and connection. He felt a sense of purpose, ready to advocate for those who were often overlooked. In that moment, Jasper knew that with Elian by his side, they could make a difference, one dish at a time. The restaurant, now a vibrant hub of activity, buzzed with energy as people from all walks of life filled the tables. Jasper stood behind the counter, watching the scene unfold. The smell of delicious food wafted through the air, mingling with laughter and conversation. It was a far cry from the silence that once filled the charred remains of his dreams. Elian moved gracefully between the tables, serving dishes with a smile. His hands, once calloused from hardship, now worked with purpose and skill. Jasper felt a swell of pride as he observed Elian, who had transformed not only the menu, but also the spirit of the restaurant. Jasper, Elian called out, his voice warm and inviting. Can you see how people are enjoying the food? It feels good to give them something special. Jasper nodded, his heart full. I never imagined this place could become so much more than just a restaurant. It feels like home now. As the evening progressed, the atmosphere grew even more lively. A group at the corner table erupted in laughter, their joy infectious. Jasper and Elian exchanged glances, their bond growing stronger with each shared moment. "Do you remember when I first walked into this place?" Elian asked, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. "You treated me like I was invisible." Jasper sighed, a shadow of regret crossing his face. "I was wrong to judge you, Elian. You have taught me so much about kindness and resilience. I see that now." Elian smiled, his eyes sparkling with understanding. "We all learn in different ways. What matters is how we move forward. Look at what we have created together." The evening continued, and Jasper noticed a family sitting at a table near the entrance. They looked weary but hopeful. He approached them, eager to hear their story. "Welcome. How are you enjoying the evening?" Jasper asked, genuinely interested. The mother smiled softly, her eyes tired but filled with gratitude. "This is our first night out in months. We've been struggling, but your restaurant feels different. It feels like a place where we belong." Jasper's heart sank a little. He remembered the days when he had turned away those in need. "I'm glad you feel that way. This restaurant is for everyone, no matter their background." As he walked away, Jasper felt a sense of purpose wash over him. He had created a space where stories of struggle and triumph could be shared. He returned to Elian, who was busy plating a new dish. "Elian, I want to do more for our community," Jasper said, determination in his voice. "We should host events where people can share their stories. It could help others feel less alone." Elian nodded enthusiastically. "That's a wonderful idea. We can invite local artists, musicians, and even storytellers. Let's build connections." The two of them began to plan, their excitement palpable. They envisioned a night filled with laughter, music, and heartfelt stories. It was a way to give back, to remind everyone that they were not alone in their struggles. As the night drew to a close, Jasper looked around the restaurant. Friends and family gathered, their laughter echoing off the walls. It felt like a celebration of life, and he knew it was a testament to the journey he and Elian had taken together. "Tonight was magical," Jasper said as he and Elian cleaned up. "I never thought I could feel this way about my work." Elian chuckled. "It's not just about the food, Jasper. It's about the connections we forge. You have become a beacon of hope for many." With those words, Jasper realized that true success was not measured by wealth or status, but by the impact one has on others. He looked at Elian, grateful for the lessons learned and the friendship forged in the fire of adversity. "Together, we can create a lasting impact," Jasper said, his voice filled with conviction. "Let's keep spreading kindness and understanding. This is just the beginning." Elian smiled, and in that moment, they both understood that they had built something far greater than a restaurant. They had built a community, a legacy of hope and compassion that would continue to thrive long after the night ended. Share this story if you believe that compassion can transform lives and build communities. Leave a comment about a time when a small act of kindness made a difference in your life, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.